work this time. We may don't know why. Going to our Facebook page. There we are. There we are. We are live on Facebook. We're live on Facebook. We did it. We did it. We did it, everybody. We did it. Hey, everybody, if you're joining us on Facebook Live or on the recording or however you are, getting this information, welcome to Personnel Board of Jefferson County Trainer Talk. We got Kim, my good buddy there. We got Ayla, my good buddy there. So if you're watching us on Facebook, give us a second. We're going to forward this link on Facebook to all of our friends so we can get even more people watching it. So give us a second here. And if you're watching this on the recording on our personal website or things like that, then absolutely, you can, just give us 1 second here while we share public. So today's topic, y'all, is going to be building your professional network. So Kim, why don't you go ahead and come off mute for a second, give everybody a quick background about yourself, your career history, all the places you've worked, so they know about how to network or where you've networked in your life.
Okay. So I am Kimberly Robinson, and I am a training advisor here at the Personnel Board of Jefferson County. I've previously worked for Starwood Hotels and Resorts, and I've also worked for Coca-Cola. And through those jobs, I've had many, many, many networking opportunities, some in which I still have even today.
Awesome. Awesome. Good. Glad to have you. Now, again, real quick in Alabama, we're live in Alabama today. If you follow the national news, y'all know we got a lot of storms and tornadoes and things. Kim had to make a last second punch. She actually lost power at her house and went somewhere else. So she's probably holding her phone being part of this. So Ayla, tell us about yourself. Do you have power where you are? I guess you do.
I do have power. Praise God. I'm at home and I have power. Hope everyone stays safe today. That's the most important thing.
Amen.
But my name is Ayla Russell, and I work here at the Personnel Board as the Organizational Change Manager. Prior to the Personnel Board, I worked at AmSouth Bank. That was before it was purchased by Regions Bank. And I'm a part of a couple of service organizations and things like that we'll talk about later. And I'm just excited for this topic today.
So am I. I want to thank you both again. We've got a great training team. We're very diverse in how we have different experiences. So it's so exciting to help government employees get better at what they do, but also anybody who happens, even if you're not a government employee and you're watching right now, we just want to help you get a little better at today's skill, which is building your professional network. And let me go big picture here. I think I actually have a graphic that's kind of up. Look at that. So it says, please join the show by commenting on Facebook. If you want to put your comments in Facebook, I've got my second screen up. If you want to ask us a question, if you want to say, oh, this works in my organization, feel free to write a comment in there. And just to get us started, if you don't mind, we've got a few people watching. Just type in the Facebook comments right now where you're watching from. What's your city? What's your state? Let us know kind of who's out there so we can connect with you. So we do a professional training networking class here at the Personnel Board. Now, we're not going to go through the entire training class today, but we are going to start with just a little bit of information so that you guys know exactly where we're coming from and where the baseline is and kind of what we want to talk about. So we'll do this a little bit, then we'll open it up for your questions and do kinds of things like that. So Kim, let's start with you because you always facilitate networking class as well. We love this sort of definition, which is, oops, how did I do that? Wait, there it is. There it is. Cultivation of productive relationships. Tell me about that definition. Why is that a good definition for networking?
Well, I think the biggest derailer of any professional career is relationship management. And so making sure that we manage those relationships, it's very important. And when you talk about cultivating, it's doing whatever you have to do to make sure that they grow and develop into the right, or grow and develop in the right way. So making sure that, when we say cultivate, again, making sure you cultivate those relationships so that when you need to network and use that relationship, You can, because you've actually cultivated it and you've actually put something into it.
Yeah, Ayla, what does cultivate mean to you? What do you think about when you hear that word?
I think about you having to put in some work.
Yeah.
And the importance of knowing that we need people, no matter how great I think I am or how independent I think I am. I still need people, and I have to work at those relationships to make sure that they're beneficial, not only to me, but to the other person as well.
Yeah. And again, that's a great lesson on networking. It can't be one way. It can't be one way. It has to be that we're giving first and people are receiving. If you go into networking, just what can I get out of this? I want to get a promotion. I want to meet somebody. I want to move up, but you're not wanting to give anything back and cultivate that. You nailed it, Ayla. That's perfect. All right. So we always spend a few minutes in our training program talking about introverts versus extroverts, because specifically networking feels a little bit different. And again, we're not stereotyping or putting people into bubbles, but Kim, I think you fall in the extrovert column with me, probably. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, Pete.
Okay. And then Ayla, where do you think you fall? Do you feel more of an introvert or extrovert preference?
I'm probably more extroverted, but COVID has taught me how to embrace my introverted side for sure.
Exactly. So here's a couple of things. If you are an introvert, if you are a person who gets your energy from yourself and you don't need to be around other people, we always tell people, here's a couple tips. All right. If you're going to a big event, if you're going somewhere, start small. Don't feel like you've got to meet everybody in the room. I think that's important. We also say to attend with friends. This is where the concept of a wingman, came out. It's always good to have a wing person or a wing woman go with you, so that if you're going to a wedding, or even if you network at church or at a little league game, or if you're networking at a professional organization, get somebody with you. I always tell introverts to take a lot of breaks, because after you talk for 10 minutes with a stranger, you may need to go in the lobby and breathe and relax and then reward yourself. Again, if you're not comfortable talking to strangers and you do it, get yourself up a sonic blast on the way home, or you stepped out of your comfort zone. Ayla or Kim, what do you think about any of these? Any of these helpful to you, or have you seen this in your networking?
Well,
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kim.
Go ahead, Ayla.
Okay. I was just going to say, be careful with the attend with friends, because I think what you have a tendency to do is attend with friends, and you don't really put yourself out there to actually network. I know that's kind of been my experience. When you go places with friends, you huddle up with your friends and you almost ignore the rest of the room. So I would say kind of be careful with that one.
Great point. Great point. Kim froze. Are you there, buddy?
Yeah, she froze, I think.
All right. We'll remove her, Ayla. We'll have when she comes back. She'll be back. She'll be back.
Weather alert.
All right. She's back already. All right. Let's talk about the extroverts. Okay. So Kim, this is me and you and Ayla to an extent. When we go to places, we got to slow down. It's not important to meet. And I do this all the time. If I go to an event, I'll be talking with Ayla, but I'll see Kim come in and I'm like, I got to finish this conversation so I can go talk to Kim. And then I'll see the mayor come in and I'm like, oh, I hope this finishes first so I can get to the mayor. Slow down. It's not, you don't have to touch every single person in the room. And I think extroverts have to be better listeners, sell less, and also if you meet somebody, the follow-up needs to be there. We just assume because we're talking to people that everything's going to work out. So Kim, you're kind of an extrovert. What are your thoughts on any of these?
Yeah, I think you said it right when you said definitely be a better listener, because I find myself kind of dominating the conversation.
Yep.
Don't give the
Ayla, are you getting her, or is she?
No, she's breaking. She's choppy for me, but I think where she's going with that is just, we have to be better listeners, because I know, Pete, me and you joke all the time, and I say to you, Pete, are you even listening to me? Are you even hearing what I'm saying to you right now? Because you're just so ready to get to the next thing. And then, and I'm like, did you just hear me? So yeah. I think we all kind of suffer. I know I do the same thing. Sometimes it's like, want, because I really want to get to what I want to talk about. So we just have to be sure that we don't leave that person feeling like why did they even talk to me? Because they weren't listening.
That's a very good point. Kim's going to relog out and relog back in, and we'll check with her in just a second. I want to go over to Facebook here and see if we've got any. Latrenda, thank you for joining us today. She's an introvert functioning as an extrovert, Ayla. An introvert functioning as an extrovert. Yumika's joined us today. Good. We've got about 10 to 12 people on today. So that's awesome. All right. So let me go ahead and throw some of these topics up here for you, Ayla, and let's kind of go into this together as we wait for Kim to come back in. There's a networking group, a networking organization, a networking community for everybody. So my question to you, Ayla, is talk about the difference between, you talked about service organizations earlier. There's professional organizations, there's service organizations, there's church organizations. Do I need to be particular about which one I try to network in, or are there differences for each one? Tell me, what's your experience with where do you find the best places to network?
I think you find the best place to network where you're passionate. So if you're not passionate about your job, if you're an accountant and you have no passion about that, you're just doing the job, maybe being in the accountants professional association won't bring the best out of you. But if you're passionate about serving needy people and you want to be a part of the community food bank and go on Saturdays and help people, you're probably going to get more out of that because you're actually passionate about it. I know for me, I get my best out of my sorority, which is Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And it brings the best out of me because it's every walk of life, it's every career, and we are a service organization. So we all have that commonality that we want to give back to our community. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like being around like-minded individuals that you get the most out of it for me.
Yep. And that's a great point. And Michael actually commented on the Facebook comments. That was a good point because, I'm in the field of we're both in the field of human resources. We're in the field of training and development. But if you just happen to fall into that career and feel like you have to go to the HR organization or this organization, it may be frustrating for a lot of people because they're like, I don't even like it that much here, so that's a very good point. I just want to remind everybody that there's a space out there for everybody. Because, if you're like, I don't even know what group to join, there's service organizations like Junior Achievement, and there's places like the Junior League here in Alabama. And then the United Way always needs volunteers, and your church is a place to network. And if you work in public works, there's a professional organization for that. If you work in parks and recreation, there's a professional organization. Maybe they're state, maybe they're national, whatever, but there's places out there for. You really can't stand back, can you, Ayla, and just say, I don't know where to start, right? Oh, that was on me. I muted you.
Absolutely. I think you have to just look at networking as a part of whether you like it or not. You may not like the term networking, but it's what we all do. When I go to the grocery store and I go through the checkout line, I try to engage the cashier. And that's networking, even if it's just to say, how's your day going? Thank y'all for even being open during COVID. I know I said that, during that time. And people remember that, it's always, they always say it's how you make people feel, but that's networking. I'll say networking your neighborhood. I didn't know I had electrical problem at my house. I didn't know I had a professional electrician that lived three doors down. Until I asked my next door neighbor about, hey, can you come look at something? And he's like, you need to call the guy three doors down, not me. Right. So, you're networking even when you don't realize you're networking. Yeah. And now I have a great relationship with my neighbor 3 doors down, and I've been able to help him with some things, and he's definitely helped me with some things. So
absolutely. That's a perfect example. Yumika asked this question on Facebook. She says, what if you're not passionate about anything, but you're open to new things and new ideas? You're not passionate about anything, but you're open to new things.
I think we all have a passion about something. You may just have to tap in and find what that is. And maybe you just need to find something that's really broad. I mean, you mentioned the United Way. I got an email from them yesterday. They were looking for COVID vaccine volunteers. to come out and help with that. So, you know, the United Way is a great place to start. Shout out to my girl, Shakithia, who works for the United Way, who's always looking for volunteers to do something. And maybe that's what you do is you go through and you try different things. Maybe it's your church, maybe it's feeding the homeless, maybe it's going into a school and doing mentoring. They always need mentors in schools. I've done a lot of that over the years. So you just have to, I think, tap into what your passion is. And if it's from a professional standpoint, I think I know there's an organization, I think that was started by Melissa Hipp. I think she's a big part of it. Women in Government. So that's a big, broad. It's not just women in public works or women in human resources. It's more just women in government that covers the whole gamut. And I think you attended that, Yumika, one of their little conferences they had. You're on mute, Pete.
Why that's the most important thing I had to say about that. So I hope that made an impact on you. No, I was saying that's, if this is a drinking game, every time we say you're on mute, you're going to have a long day. So that's one of the important things is keeping your blinders off, like you said, Ayla, and just listening to your neighbors or people and just being aware for all the opportunities that are out there that we don't even know about. And we've been talking mostly about structured events. We've been talking about these are formalized events and formalized groups. And these are things that, you know, you plan for and you go to and kind of all that. Let me back up to a different kind here, Ayla, and we'll talk about this, which is what we call the informal or the pop-up event. This is where you're at a little league game or you're with your kids somewhere and you see somebody that you know you should talk to, whether it's a mayor, whether it's a local electrician, whether it's, you know, somebody who you've always wanted to meet, a local celebrity, maybe it's someone at a company that you know you may want to transfer to. What are some things, because this causes people a lot of angst, Ayla. This makes people really nervous.
See, this is my favorite. This is
your favorite one. All right.
Definitely.
All right, well, walk us through it. What's your how do you do this? How do you start?
I think you first have a temperature check. And if the person that you want to talk to, if they're not, I mean, you can tell when a person doesn't want to be bothered.
If they're receptive or not.
Right. I think you respect that. You don't go force yourself. If you see, you know, I don't know, I can't think of anybody, but if you see your favorite mayor out and he's with his wife and kids and they're totally engaged and playing with their kids, I wouldn't interrupt that to go try to have a conversation. But if we're elevator, grocery store, to just say, hello, my name is, and just make that connection. And then the next, you know, it may be a process. In the next time, hey, I met you at Publix, getting some chicken. Oh yeah, I remember. And it just kind of goes from there. But I think the informal ones are better because when we get to the formal ones, I think people are more guarded and more probably not apt to wanting to be bothered, and probably a lot more people around. So it's so many people tugging for attention that the informal ones usually is a smaller group. So you probably can make a bigger impact. You're on mute again.
I mean, I'm an idiot. Too many buttons for Pete to play with during the
squirrel.
Just keep my hands where you can see them at all times. No, this one sounds exciting to me too, but I'll admit I get a little nervous, and you're right about reading the audience. It's like you've got to, you know, if they look like they're stressed, if they look like they're in the middle of a serious thing, for you to be like, hey, want to introduce myself or whatever. So just reading them and figuring out what the temperature of that is. But don't let fear hold you back. The worst thing that can happen is they say, I don't have time to talk to you, or I don't. That's okay. That's better than you going home and going, I ran into the president and CEO of the company I wanted to see today, you know, and that can be frustrating. So, all right, let's talk about expectations. So let's say that I meet a mayor or I meet somebody I want to talk to, and then they say, sure thing. Why don't you connect with my office and we'll set up some time? What are things that I should do to prepare when someone says, sure, come on in, or I'd love to have lunch, or I'd love to have breakfast, or I can get 15 minutes on Zoom with you as the networkee. What do I have to do? How do I prepare?
I think you need to have some good questions ready. I don't think you go into it blind and thinking they're going to lead the conversation. If they take over, fine, let them take over. But you come prepared with some questions that will benefit you, because you may not get that 15 minutes again. And you don't want that person to, you get there and that person's like, so what do you have? And you're like, I just wanted to know, do you like your job? It needs to be a little bit more than that. And so that you can get something out of it and they don't feel like you've wasted their time.
Yeah, because again, their time is probably valuable and they're making, 15, 20, 30, in some cases, maybe an hour and if you go in and just say, well, I wanted to learn more about you. Let's start with an open-ended question. Tell me about yourself. While that's safe, the whole time someone is asking me to spend time with me, I'm wondering what they want. What is your end goal? Are you just building a network? Are you trying to get a job? Do you want to improve your LinkedIn profile? What's the main goal of us getting together? Because if it's just to know me, I can set you a bio.
Right.
So I would say because the whole time you're with the person, they're going to be wondering, what does this person even want with me or for me or from me? Hey, Marla Jackson had a great point here on Facebook. She said you're at a location event, so you can make a comment on what you share in common. That's a good point for that. When you see somebody who's wearing, like in your case, an AKA hat or an AKA shirt, or see somebody that says Alabama A&M or Florida Gators, or if someone says proud grandparents, or if they're, be looking for little signs like that.
Instant connection.
Yeah. So people sometimes have stuff out there, whether maybe they're just wearing their badge that says where they work or something like that, or be looking for common things. If you overhear a conversation about college football and so it's easy to jump into these things. You just have to be open. And she says, just have confidence. Just have confidence, which
and Marla has plenty of that.
Is that That's awesome. Yeah. She also says have the elevator speech. Now, I've heard this called the elevator speech, a promotional speech, a 30-second speech. Do you have something like that, Ayla, prepared?
I don't. And I probably need to, because it'll probably keep me from saying something inappropriate. I probably need to get me a little script so I don't put my foot in my mouth.
Yep. The standard one is the simple, hey, Mr. Mayor, my name is Pete. Just want to introduce myself. I work at the personnel board. I'm a training manager, and I'd love to get some more time on your calendar so I can learn how I can help impact your employees moving forward. I mean, it's quick, it's easy, it's fast, and it has the ask at the end. This is why I'd like to spend more time with you. I'd like to maybe transfer to your organization. I'd like to do X, Y, Z. So having that in there is good. All right, let's talk about old school versus new school.
Okay.
If I go to one of these sit down breakfast meals, whatever, do I bring a resume? Do I hand out my business cards at professional events? Hey, here's my card. Here's my card. Here's my card. What's your take on how you brand yourself if you've got a resume or business card? What are the pros and cons?
I don't want anybody's resume.
You don't want anybody's
resume. A business card, maybe. But what tends to happen is I get your business card and I just throw it in my purse.
Right.
And I don't necessarily pull it back out. So I think in this age of being able to use things like LinkedIn and maybe say, hey, what's your name on LinkedIn? Can we connect there? So it's a little bit more of a permanent connection some way. I'm not opposed to business cards. I am opposed to resumes.
There's a function. I'm actually typing in a graphic right now. I'm going to put it up there. There is a function, believe it or not, on LinkedIn, and I always forget to use it, that when you get into a big organization, it's at the very top of LinkedIn and it says find other people in your area. And if you hit that, if everyone's got their Bluetooth or Wi-Fi on, names start popping up of people who have LinkedIn accounts who are there. So if I do meet you, Ayla, and I'm like, hey, and I'm like, can we connect on LinkedIn? And they go, sure. And I'm like, okay, bam. I mean, it's right there. It pulled it up.
I didn't know that.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. So things like that are good. Let's talk about other social media while we're on this. Do you see anybody that you know of using Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest successfully in networking? And if so, any differentiators between those sites that you want to be aware of?
I think it's definitely differentiators. I can't say that word into those sites, because I think Facebook, while people do promote businesses and themselves on Facebook, I do think of it being more personal of the people that I connect with. I don't just allow anybody to be my friend on Facebook, but I'm pretty open on LinkedIn, because I don't know. They may be wanting to offer me a job. They may be wanting to hire me for something, or connect with me or learn more about my organization. So I'm a lot more lenient on LinkedIn. And when I think Twitter, I just think you want to hear my rants and you want me to see your rant. I don't really think, I mean, that's just me, of how kind of my gauge. And, but I think LinkedIn is a great tool. I personally need to use it more. I have an account, and that's about all I have. If someone messages about something, but I think people like you, LaTrenda, if she's still watching, I think you guys use it very well. So maybe you want to talk about how you've used it to not only boost the personnel board, but also you as Pete Blank, the brand.
Yeah, I've tried to I'm with you. I live in LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I think it's good. But what we've also tried to do, again, with our personnel board Facebook page, is stuff like this. Hopefully this is creating networks. So, I mean, yes, you've got a lot of friends on Facebook, that are watching you right now because you forwarded this to them. So now I'm seeing names on there that I haven't seen before that I might want to connect with, because they look like, they're either leaders or they're focused on this or focused on that. So I think LinkedIn and Facebook is important. I like Facebook groups also, because you've seen all these TV commercials. There's a group for everything. So you can create like a Facebook group. The one thing I'm really don't do well is Pinterest. I've heard that Pinterest has specific groups that you can really network with. And it depends on what you want to network for. If you're trying to get a job, probably not. But have you had any success in Pinterest at all?
No, Pinterest is really just my go-to for recipes and just want to find like cute little decor type things. I haven't really tapped into the networking side of Pinterest.
Okay.
But I will say this, Pete, especially during the past year, I noticed a lot of my friends through COVID have decided to start businesses. And maybe it's because they realized they needed another stream of income. Maybe they lost their job due to COVID. And they've really used social media to try to bolster that business page and say on their personal page, hey, please go like my business page. And, trying to build their brand through social media. So I do think it's very efficient and it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
For people to try to network and build their brands and build their businesses through social media.
Yeah, and that's a great point. There's been so many people talking about using this pandemic and finding the good is something I thought was a hobby is now a side business, but I've got to use the social media networking to kind of get out there. Yeah, I'm a big fan on LinkedIn. I will tell you my pet peeve of LinkedIn right now, Ayla, is like you say, I pretty much open mind to everybody. Because if you want to follow me or talk, I want to do that with you. I hate the people who connect with me and then all of a sudden within 10 seconds, a message comes. Hey, I knew we had something in common. Would you be open to a 30-second watch this? And you know what I do? I go and I unconnect right away. I don't need you coming within 10 seconds with a sales pitch. That's not.
Yeah.
And do you find a lot? I mean,
I do see those and I don't like them either. So
I don't like them.
You do that, stop. Because people
stop. We don't like it.
I don't like it at all. I think they must have like an automatic reply once people accept their friend, because I'm like, I didn't know you anyway, but I accepted, and now you're trying to sell me Bitcoin. I don't like it.
LaTrenda says as a recruiter, she's got a professional page and a personal Facebook page, and she will generally connect with anyone through LinkedIn because she uses it for recruiting. So she's kind of the same thing. LinkedIn will let people in. Facebook, we're a little more personal,
Yeah.
about
Go
it.
to jobsquest.org. We're always looking for the best and the brightest. Jobsquest.org, baby.
Well done. Lots of government jobs out there.
Lots of them.
You and I sound confident. I know that we talk, we speak, we train for a living. So everybody looks at us and goes, "This must be easy breezy for you." It's not. It's not. So what scares? I'll share my scare story. What's your scare story about networking? Where does your fear come?
I'm still human. So who wants rejection? Who wants to go and have your smile and your elevator speech and someone ignore you or treat you like you're nothing? So I may be confident, but I'm still a human. So rejection probably is my biggest. I like to think all people are inherently good, but they aren't. And sometimes when you try to connect with someone, especially in our line of business, sometimes depending on what's going on between an agency and us, sometimes it can be contentious, or it goes to, well, why haven't I gotten a list? And, which we don't have that problem anymore. But, there was a time when that happened a lot, where you're just trying to talk about training and they want to talk about other things. So, and then you have no response because you're not even in that department.
Our buddy Taria just put in the old Facebook post, the jobsquest.org site and all that kind of stuff, which is good. Mine's a freaky one, and it's not surprising as an extrovert. It's the fear of dead air. Mine is like, if I go up to talk to somebody and I say, "Hey, just want to say hi, what y'all talking about?" And they go, "Nothing." And I'm just like, and like you said, maybe that's the fear of rejection. And so what happens is I feel I have to fill dead air. And when I'm forced to fill dead air, who knows, like you said, what's coming who knows what's coming out of my mouth? Those are some funky toes you have. I see down there, I don't,
If y'all don't know Pete, network with Pete. He's funny, but he can say some stuff and you're like,
well,
I totally get it.
Yeah, it's that fear. And so I've got to learn to be more comfortable when I'm networking with awkward silence. I've got to be okay with that. It's not my job to fill the room with conversation, and sometimes it's okay to kind of walk away. So I was speaking at a conference of auto dealers a few years ago, and I knew nothing about the automotive industry except I drive a car. That's literally all I know. And so I was there, and they had a happy hour, a cocktail hour from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And I remember I was in California, and I called my wife, and it's 4:30. And she goes, "Why aren't you down there?" I said, "I don't want to go down there. I don't want to go just walk into a room of people and all that." So she said, "You got to do it. It's part of the thing." So I got up, I went down there. It was outdoors. They were all already in their cliques, Ayla. You already had 10 subgroups of tables and people, and nobody was alone. So I went to the bar, got myself a glass of water, talked to the bartender for 5 minutes until somebody came over to the bar. And then I said, "Oh, I'm Pete. I'm one of your speakers." And he's like, "Oh," and then he's pulled me over and all this kind of stuff. But fear is normal. I mean, it's just walking up to strangers doesn't feel like it's a normal human response. Marla says it's okay to be comfortable in silence. Thank you, Marla.
That can be hard though. Yeah.
It can be hard. Let's see.
I want to say something about what you just said. A lot of us do that though, Pete. We go, especially to our professional conferences, and they have all of these networking things. And we're like, I'm going to stay in my room and order room service. I don't want any parts. I don't know these people. I'm the only one here for my organization. But we kind of do need to, fight through that and press on and try to go, because it can be helpful. I think when we have Workday, and when I went to our Workday conference, when I came back, I told our deputy director, I probably got more good information and more things that could help our organization from the networking sessions.
You froze. Either a large lightning bolt just hit you. There you are.
Did I go away?
Yeah.
Oh.
We heard everything from You got more information from the
the networking parts of the conference than I did the formal parts of the conference, because I was able to ask things that I know would directly affect our organization, as opposed to being in the bit sessions and it's just the big picture stuff.
Yeah.
So
you're
try
right.
to fight through that fear and go and talk to people.
Lawanika, appreciate her being on today.
Hey,
Lawanika, thank you. And leave it to our friend Taria, who says, I don't like the switch up. People trying to turn professional networking into a personal dating opportunity. You ever had that happen?
Okay, so that happened on LinkedIn. I was like, when did LinkedIn become a dating site? Taria, yes, I hate that. When you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna accept or whatever. Because again, like I said, I'm pretty open on LinkedIn. It's like, hey, are you single? This is LinkedIn. This is not
Tinder or Match or whatever. Oh no!
So use the site for the appropriate business.
Thank you. Are you shocked to hear I've never had that problem?
They know about Sherry. They're not.
Yeah, that's okay. Very good. Cynthia Parker's on now. Good to see you, Parker. Thanks for being a part of this. If you all have any networking horror stories or networking questions, throw them in the Facebook chat here real quick. We've got about 5 more minutes or so. We'll talk about a few things. All right, so let's do this real quick, Ayla. Pet peeves or best practices as we roll towards our last 5 minutes. If someone wants to network with you, what's a best practice in general? And then any pet peeves that turn you off?
Again, I think I said it earlier. Just if I do meet with you, let me know what you want. I'm not a small talk kind of girl. Let's get to the point. So don't come with just the generic questions. Try to get things that are going to be beneficial to you out of it, because I'm going to feel like you wasted my time. And the other thing that don't be late, because anybody who knows me knows I am timely. So if you say we're going to meet at 7:30 for breakfast, please don't roll in at 8 o'clock because I'm already checked out.
Yeah. So you've already damaged the relationship by doing that. Mine is one of both, and it's thank you notes. It seems very 1980s, but it's both a pet peeve and a best practice. If I've spent 45 minutes of my day, I don't expect it, and I'm not going to judge you because of it. But if I get an email that says thank you for your time, it just validates, okay, thank you. If I get a handwritten note in the mail that says, I know your time is valuable, especially if you want me to keep advocating for you down the road, I think, again, thanks so much on a text, that's about a C. Thanks so much in an email, that's a B. Get a little note and either mail it to me or something, that's an A. But don't be a B.
It makes you feel good.
It does.
It makes you feel good. It really does.
So that's awesome. So y'all, this has been really enjoyable. Kim, we lost Kim along the way. Kind of sad about that. She's been texting me going, I can't get back in. She's like, I have a lot to say. Kim, we'll get you back on another one next time though. Hey, we want to thank Latrenda, Marla. Who else has been on here? Taria, Natasha, Lawanika, thank you. Didn't want to mess it up twice. Lawanika, glad you joined us. Bianca, thank you for joining us today. Yeah. Basically all your friends. I've got that's why I had you on, because you're so good at networking. You're good at building your brand. So we're going to record this and leave it on our Merit Matters website for all local government employees, and be on the lookout for more of these trainer talks. We do 2 a month. And of course, we'll have Ayla on again in the future around topics that are interesting to her, that she's passionate about, kind of like this one. So any last words, any last things you want to share?
I can't think of anything right off. I would just say, don't look at networking as a chore. Look at it just as a part of life, because we all need people. You can't make it without people and relationships.
You cannot work in a silo. You can't do it on your own. So if you think you can, you'll fail quick. So yeah, I like that. It's not something that you should do. It's part of business. It's part of professional growth. It's part of your life. So
Yeah.
let's figure it out. Awesome. And if you're a Merit System employee, be sure and take our networking training class that's offered every quarter. We'd love to have you there. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Ayla. I appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, Pete.
All right. We'll see you all. Have a good weekend. Stay safe.